We've got news to tell and stories to share. Join us for interviews with local business owners, coaches, musicians, artists, and more. We're working to bring your community closer to you. It's Frenchie and Friends on Pardon My French Media. Welcome everyone into another episode of Frenchie and Friends here on Pardon My French Media. I'm your host Frenchie, and joining me today is Ethan Carpenter, the owner and proprietor of Never Board Games here in Norwalk. Ethan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Never Board Games, you guys are getting closer and closer to getting everything finalized and finally getting to open. How did this shop idea kind of come to be, and this entire journey that you've gone through with it?
Yeah, it's kind of been games have always been a passion for me, whether it be board games or I grew up playing Pokemon, and I have lots of friends who play Magic and all sorts of other stuff. So I've always been sort of in and around the gaming community. I grew up playing Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 and all that stuff as well. And just as I've grown up, as I've had a family, had kids, and they're starting to get into some of the cool gaming stuff, and like my son, he plays D&D with us. My oldest son, anyway, plays D&D with me as part of a group. It's just been, I've always just been in that lifestyle. I've sort of, especially embraced it over the past few years. Totally okay with being called a nerd. So, and the concept, the idea of opening a game store in Norwalk has always been kind of something very vague in the ether, and it just over the past, maybe towards the end of last year, really seriously started thinking about, could we do this? Is it possible? Because the way I see Norwalk is it's sorely lacking something like this. Not just a retail shop where you can buy games and different things, but a place where the community can get together and play games and hang out. And none of my kids are very sports, very into sports. So I know that Norwalk really is a big sports town, all of that. And I wanted to give something to the people who don't necessarily do the sports. Like I said, I'm a nerd, so my kids probably got it from me not being super sports, really everything like that. Just not a big. I enjoy watching sports, but playing sports, I'm not so great at. And my kids inherited that from me. And so, the end of last year, beginning of this year, really started thinking, it was really on my, I don't want to be cliche, but it really was on my heart that Norwalk needed something like that. And so I started researching it a little bit and trying to see what it would take. And then I kind of just decided one day, let's do it. I'm just going to do it. And that's kind of where we are, is just, it was always about the community. It wasn't even necessarily a passion project, like, oh, I like games, so I want to open a game store. That's great. Don't get me wrong, but it is not, that's not what it's about. It's about making a place that the community can come together in. So,
speaking as someone that grew up in this neighborhood and went to Norwalk High School and stuff like that, we've seen a lot of growth in the popularity of stuff like D&D, anime. It's become a lot more mainstream from 10 plus years ago when I graduated from Norwalk.
yeah.
But to have had a place like this here in my hometown would have been so great going into middle school and high school, somewhere to be able to pursue those avenues of passions. And I think you'll find surprise too of the crossover you'll have of athletes who are nerds in today's society.
Yes, yeah. In today's society, there isn't that stark divide like when we were probably in high school and younger, where it was either the jocks or the nerds or the dorks or the emo kids. it sort of is all over the place now, because like you said, the growth in popularity in D&D and Pokemon has always been popular, but it's just like really exploded over the past few years. And yeah, it's just, there is no, I mean, like I said, I call myself a nerd, but there is no person who it's like, oh yeah, they're just a nerd. They're just, it's like, oh yeah, you play sports, but you like playing D&D. You like doing this, but you like doing that. So yeah, I totally understand that times have changed a lot in that. But yeah, I definitely would have loved to have something like this when I was growing up too.
Yeah, I think one thing that with D&D, the world where you're able to create, I think it's such a great way to bring so many of those different cliques and groups together. Whether you are strictly a tabletop player or a video game player, you have the growth of one of the most popular games the last couple of years was Baldur's Gate 3 coming out.
Yep.
With that game, you're able to bring in Magic the Gathering players as well, because that has been a part of Magic the Gathering for, I believe, well over a decade at this point.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you get into D&D where you can have avenues to different types of worlds. I actually was in Chicago this past weekend talking with the guest supervisor for the Hellenistic National Museum, which is like the Greek American museum. That's awesome. My wife was wearing a Astarion shirt from Baldur's Gate, and she came up and was like, okay, I got to ask your guys' opinion on this. What are your thoughts on Greek mythology D&D? And then her and I nerded out for about 10 minutes talking about that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely the crossover in something like Baldur's Gate has really just brought D&D into the forefront even more than it already had been. I mean, I play Baldur's Gate. I played it. I didn't even realize back in the day when I was 12, 13, I was playing it, and then I get back into Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm like, wait, this seems very familiar, and then I realized, oh yeah, I've been playing this franchise for years, and I didn't even realize it. So very cool, very cool.
Yeah, and so now with you guys setting up this shop as an opportunity for people to come in, be able to play games, find somewhere where they can pursue their passions, what is kind of the timeline for you guys moving forward?
Well, we are very much in the thick of it. I think we sort of started our construction process May 1st, which, I mean, if you've looked at, I know you said you were following me on Facebook and stuff, or had seen some of that, but this whole area was office space, and so we had to essentially gut it to even get started with what we were trying to do. So I was working with the landlord about getting in here to get stuff started, and I've been talking with him, and he's been great. But yeah, it's like we're now almost 2.5 months into the process, and we're nearing. I can literally see the finish line. Is where I'm at. I haven't announced it, but I guess I can announce it here. Might as well, right? But the opening date, at least soft opening, grand opening, whatever you want to call it, is going to be the 25th of July, which should be a Friday night. It'll be a evening. I'm going to have a food truck and stuff. Local food truck here from Norwalk. And yeah, so it's getting to be crunch time. I'm starting to actually order stuff that's in stock anyway, and getting all the necessary stuff. I'm hoping this weekend I can get stuff cleaned up and start putting up shelving so that I can be ready for that. It is, like I said, it's crunch time, and I can feel it. I can feel it's getting close.
So with that right around the corner, what are some of the things you guys plan to offer? I know you guys have talked about like a group game room and obviously being a retail store, but what are all the services and merchandise you guys will hopefully have?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, card games, board games, TTRPGs, so tabletop, so stuff like D&D, and then also gently used, video games, retro video games. And what I mean by retro is PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and older.
That hurt.
I know.
For that to be retro.
When I'm thinking retro, oh yeah, Xbox 360 is not retro. It's going to be like 20 years next year, I think it is, that's been released. So Yeah, it's unfortunately retro at this point. So we're gonna have used video games. That's gonna be games as well as accessories and consoles. I've been trying to procure those as we've been gearing up, because that's one thing you can't get through like a distributor or something like that, unfortunately. So as far as card games, we're talking, I'm going to try to be getting some Pokemon, some Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, probably Yu-Gi-Oh, at least a smattering of everything. Just depending on availability, because like things like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, holy cow, trying to get those from any distributor anywhere is very difficult. So I'm working hard, sort of scouring the corners of the internet, trying to find the stuff that we need in order to get started. And then as far as TTRPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, I think, is another one. I'm just, again, smattering a few.
Warhammer?
Yes, Warhammer. Actually, that big pile of boxes is all Warhammer stuff. So, Warhammer, yes, for sure.
One of my friends will be very happy about that. They're moving to Norwalk, and
nice.
he literally prints out 3D prints Warhammer stuff. He has been trying to get me into it a lot lately.
Yes. I have not ever really been into Warhammer, but I can see the allure to it, for sure. And I can see myself spending a decent amount of money on it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Warhammer, and then board games is just going to be, I mean, I'm not going to necessarily like focus on like the Monopoly and the Trouble, the stuff that you can get literally anywhere. I want to get the stuff that is more niche and, high quality, some Euro games and stuff like that, board games, that you just wouldn't see everywhere. And so I'll have this whole area that we're sitting is going to be dedicated just to board games, hopefully. And then from there, as far as services go, I'm planning on getting into the card grading eventually, where people can bring them in. I'll send in like a bulk order to get them graded and get them back for people. I will, like we said, we'll have the dedicated game room, so not only will people just be able to come in and play games, but we're going to have all sorts of events. I'm planning on working to get certified, or whatever you want to call it, as an organized play for Pokemon, Magic, Flesh and Blood. So a few of those where I'm trying to get official, not just people show up and play, but something that's, we keep track of, we submit to whatever the company is for that particular event. But then we're just gonna have like community events, so GoldenEye tournaments and Mario Kart 64 and stuff like that. And then just board game nights. I have a couple of local people who are developing board games that are going to come and do demos to sort of show their product off. And then one of the biggest things that I'm really trying to focus on is giving a spotlight to the local artisan, the local creator, the ones that don't normally get the spotlight, the ones that don't have the distribution deal, that have the big, thousands and thousands of pieces ready to go. People that make stuff, make it by hand, or make it with a 3D printer, or whatever the case may be. And so I have a whole spot that is going to be dedicated just to local, mainly central Iowa creators. So that's going to be at the forefront. That's a big, again, when I was talking about community, to me, that's a whole thing, is like, give them a chance. Like, why can't I give them a chance? So we'll have dice, people that make their own handmade dice and dice towers, D&D, other D&D accessories, just all sorts of stuff. And everything from little keychains all the way up to custom gaming tables. So it's going to be wildly varied, and hopefully I can get people in and sort of rotate them maybe, or something like that, just to give everybody a shot to get the limelight.
I have seen that in some of the Facebook posts. I know the Pokemon buttons
Yes.
was a really fun one. The wear 'em all. I did like that post a lot.
Yes.
And then the local ones calling for local artisans and artists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So where can people find more information online and social media?
Yeah, so if you go on, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You just search for Never Bored, Bored, Never Bored Games, and it'll pop right up. Instagram, same. I'm also on YouTube, and I occasionally post stuff related to D&D or stuff that's just related to the store as well. So, and then I am working on getting a website set up so that not only can we get more information, but then also order stuff online and know when events are coming up and stuff like that. So Facebook and Instagram is the biggest one, but YouTube, and eventually we'll have our own website as well.
Perfect. Is there anything else that people should know about the game, the shop, anything?
It's gonna be awesome. Of course it is, because I'm making it. Obviously, I'm the one that's gonna be running it, so it's gonna be super awesome. Just kidding. The biggest thing is that this is gonna be not your. I'm trying to make this not your typical game store, where you go into a lot of game stores and it's kind of just. Sometimes it's a little dark, it's a little dingy. Sometimes it's a little like childish, where it's just like bright colors and it's just a little disorienting at times with how much stuff there is. I'm trying to do a more upscale kind of store. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to let kids in. Like, obviously, kids are a big part of the community. They're a big part of Norwalk. But a kid doesn't necessarily care what the store looks like as long as it has what they're looking for. But I want the parents to want to come in with them, not just the kids. And I want them to feel comfortable and relaxed. And my wife, Liz, has really been really huge in getting that aesthetic put together. So you can't see it when you're looking at the store right now because it's just a big empty shell, but she's got a ton of plans for the decor and just getting things to flow well and to make people comfortable. And that's the biggest thing is I've just really been trying to put people at ease, make people comfortable so that they want to come back again and again. So, yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. Really excited to get a store like this in Norwalk. Like I mentioned, it's a town I grew up in. I'm a huge nerd myself. I mean, I've got a Karlak tattoo from Baldur's Gate 3, if that says anything. I've got anime tattoos. I run an anime podcast on the side as well.
Yeah.
So a store like this in my hometown really, really scratches that itch that I think a lot of people have been looking for years.
Absolutely. We're super excited.
All right, well, that will do it here on Frenchie and Friends here on Pardon My French Media. If you have a business and want to tell your story or just have a great story to tell in general, make sure to reach out to us. You can reach us on Facebook, Pardon My French Media, or by emailing pardonmyfrenchmedia@gmail.com. Ethan, thanks so much. For those of you guys tuning in, thanks so much as well, and we'll catch you next time.